A World Series rematch that met the standards. The Dodgers won. It was fun.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. This is a daily podcast covering the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can become an everydayer by listening and watching every day, which can be made easier by subscribing or getting notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live on YouTube. And it may feel a little different for you. If this is your first time listening, it doesn't feel any different. If this is not your first time listening, it feels a little different. Friday night, we're recording because the Dodgers had a come from behind win against the Yankees. And I'm Vince Sampero, that's Jeff Snyder. We are on record a lot of times saying that, not most regular season games aren't any more important than any other regular season games. But, Jeff, I found myself rooting a little bit harder in this game than I thought I was going to be.
I can see that. I still think it's not any more important, but it was definitely more fun than a lot of regular season games because of the drama, the storylines. Usually a game that's this hyped doesn't live up to the hype. World Series rematch, the two reigning MVPs, and then they both homer in the first inning, and then Ohtani homers again later, and Judge almost has a chance to rob it. It usually doesn't live up to the hype, but this game really lived up to the hype in a way that we can be happy about at the end because the Dodgers had another comeback win over the Yankees. And, there's so much about this game. You and I, we usually look forward to watching games on Friday and Saturday nights. It's like, hey, I can just enjoy the game. Don't got to be thinking about, what are we going to talk about on the podcast after? But you and I both, game got over, I feel like doing a live episode, don't you? You're like, yeah. All right, let's do it then, because this was a fun game. It's a fun game to talk about.
Yeah, it was. We're going to talk about, obviously, Ohtani and Freddie coming through. We're going to talk about Tony Gonsolin. We're talking about the bullpen. But let's just get right into it. Before the game, real quick, we got some unfortunate news on the Evan Phillips front. He will be undergoing Tommy John surgery, so he'll get it done on Tuesday, and we probably might not see him again, or if we do see him again, it won't be till next year, probably August or so. And then Mookie Betts was not in the starting lineup. He stubbed his toe. We found out after the game from Dylan Hernandez that it's a fractured toe, but that he expects to only be out a couple of days. So, I'm sure they'll just wrap it up. You can't do anything to really make that any faster than what it is. It's just going to hurt for a while. Mookie will have it wrapped up and, hopefully be fine. But without Mookie, it goes from MV3 to MV2, and maybe some people jumped the gun earlier saying that it would be the first time ever that two lineups featured three MVPs. It ended up only being two on one side, but those two for the Dodgers came through. You mentioned Ohtani hitting the big homer after Judge homered in the top of the first. Ohtani ended up homering again later. Freddie Freeman picks up 3 hits, a couple RBI, scores a big insurance run sliding in just ahead of the tag. And when you win these types of games, usually the stars show up, and the stars showed up for the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Freddie Freeman may be the best fundamental baseball player in the league. He's just like the little things, first and third and one out or nobody out, and the ground ball to first base. And Freddie broke for home and made sure to stay in that rundown long enough that Edmund could get second, Paul has to get to third. So then you have second and third and one out instead of just running on third and 2 outs, which it would have been a double play. If Freddie doesn't go, it's a double play, and getting in that rundown like that. And then the slide into home when he scored on Paul has a 2-run single that ended up being, it was technically a meaningless run. Didn't ever feel meaningless with the way the Dodgers bullpen has been lately and the way the Yankees offense can be. So it never felt like a meaningless 8th run. And Freddie, that slide, the throw beat him by 6 feet, and yet he got himself in safely. Credit to the umpire for calling him safe. I think the call probably would have stood on replay, whether he was called safe or out. And I'm glad he called him safe because I think he was safe. And it's just like, how was he safe? Yeah, we see so often guys sliding into home and their foot bounces and goes over the plate. And Freddie was like a heat-seeking laser, like, I'm getting my toe to the plate before Austin Wells gets his glove on me. Just little things like that. I imagine if Freddie was fast, like he would be unstoppable. The fact that he's already a great base runner without being fast. That's the only thing that Freddie doesn't have is speed. And it's just, I love watching Freddie Freeman play baseball.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Yankee fans hate watching Freddie Freeman play baseball. He terrorized them in the World Series last year, terrorized them here. The biggest part of this, too, obviously Ohtani and Freddie showing now. Andy Pages had a big game. He came through, especially to extend the lead there in the later innings. But 6 of those 8 runs came off of Max Fried. Now, not all of them scored when Max Fried was still in the game, but they were charged to him. Max Fried had allowed 10 earned runs in the first 11 starts of the season. He had never allowed more than 2 runs in a start. And the Dodgers, it didn't, all come early on like they did against Gonsolin. It just, Ohtani homer here, a run scored here with Edman, taking advantage. Ohtani homering again, Dodgers getting some runners on base, getting to the bullpen, taking advantage of the bullpen. And it was just fun to watch. And for Fried, he didn't have that many strikeouts. He didn't have a lot of swing and miss. And a guy that's had success against the Dodgers and has gotten beat up by the Dodgers in the past. And we talked about it. I mean, you mentioned Knack yesterday instead of Gonsolin, but either way, it was their number 1 pitcher against a guy that's in the Dodger rotation because of injuries. And the Dodgers ended up coming out with the win, and that's because they came through and they had their guys come through.
Yeah, 14 base runners, 12 hits, 2 walks. One of those walks, Micah Conforto with the game-winning RBI. Takes a base loaded walk to put the Dodgers up 6-5. And, luckily Miguel Rojas was there to kill that rally later. I've seen a lot of Rojas slander all over the place. And I am not here to disagree with any of that. I will say Will Warren, is that it? Somebody Warren is a righty pitcher.
Saturday.
Pitching for the Yankees tomorrow. He's a righty. Kim should be in the lineup in the infield, I would think, especially with Mookie still out. Hopefully they go with either Kim or Edman at short and the other one at second base. And then Yankees pitcher is undecided for Sunday. It's hard to picture the way Miguel Rojas played and has played.
It might be Yarbrough.
Oh, okay. So Yarbrough, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully they'll still start Kim. I respect Miguel Rojas. I want nothing but good for him in his life. And I want that to happen not on the Dodgers active roster.
Yeah, the last 2 times he's had a chance to hand the baton to Shohei Ohtani in situations where the Dodgers need runs, he's made 5 outs in 2 at-bats. So,
yep. Yeah.
I'm sure there are other times, but those are the 2 that stand out.
The 2 that we remember, the triple play last year. And man, I would have gone for a bunt this time. He won't bunt into a double play,
Yeah.
But luckily it ended up not mattering, and that's good. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be addressed because it could matter later. But everybody except for Rojas and Kike Hernandez contribute. I guess Kike even had an RBI. That's right, no hits, but he had an RBI. So yeah, Rojas was the only starter who didn't contribute to this game, and he actively untributed, anti-tributed, whatever it is, he did it. And but the rest of the team,
nothing special, but he made them.
Yeah, Andy Pages, 3 RBIs, had the huge 2-run single for the insurance runs, RBI single earlier. Can't say enough about this offense sticking in and getting Tony Gonsolin a win that didn't look like he was going to deserve. And then by the time they scored the runs for him, he kind of deserved that win,
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about Tony Gonsolin next because he gave the Dodgers length and he ended up, stopped the bleeding early on. And it ultimately got rewarded with a win. So we're going to talk about him next. Make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or tackling an endless to-do list, your morning sets the tone for it all. And that's why I should start with the perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I'm not a coffee purist by any means, but I took the quiz to see what type of coffee fits my needs. I'm a guy that doesn't drink coffee often, but when he does, I like it dark, but not too dark. I want to taste the coffee, but I don't want it to be, taste like it was been in the dirt too long. And boom, they got me hooked up with this Perk coffee. You can't see it because of the thing, but it's Perk coffee, the Juggernaut, dark-ish roast, sort of dark, really good. And it was sort of dark, and it was really good. So make sure to check out Trade's quiz, take it yourself. And right now you'll get 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. That's TRADE.com/LockedOnMLB for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can become an everyday by listening or watching every day. And you can make that easier by subscribing to get notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live on YouTube like we are here randomly on a Friday night. All right, Jeff, let's talk about Tony Gonsolin because, one, had the game gone the way it was going in the early innings, we wouldn't be here talking right now. And two, Tony Gonsolin ended up becoming a little bit of a hero of a sense in this game because he gave up the home run to Judge in the first. He gave up a pair of homers in the second. He gave up another homer in the third. Dodgers down 5-1 or 5-2. They were down whatever it was. And it looked like Gonsolin wasn't going to give the Dodgers length and wasn't going to help out, obviously, giving up the 5 runs. The good part is that he was efficient at giving up those 5 runs. And then he was efficient at getting through 3 more innings, kind of settling in. And we can attribute that a little bit maybe to him deciding to go from the stretch. He said he wasn't sure if he was tipping pitches from the windup or whatever it was, but he felt better out of the stretch. So that definitely helped out. But to give him the 6 innings, to cut the, obviously the runs from scoring after that 3rd inning, he gave the Dodgers pretty much exactly what you need from a guy like Tony Gonsolin.
Yeah, this started as a where it start. It was like, okay, you're going to suck. Fine. You're throwing 100 pitches. And, and that was good. That's what the Dodgers needed. Like that, once they went down 5-2 and he had given up 4 home runs in the first 3 innings, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we're probably going to lose this game, but our bullpen is not in a situation to try to win this game. If we're going to win this game, it's going to be because Gonsolin settles in and the offense wins the game for us. I didn't feel super confident that was going to happen. I hadn't ruled it out, but I didn't feel super confident about it. But then, the 4th inning, Gonsolin gets him 1-2-3. It's like, okay. And then the 5th inning, Gonsolin gets a 1-2-3. And, and then the 6th inning, when Shohei hits that home run to lead off the inning, it's like, hey, we're only down by 2 runs all of a sudden. And even then it's like, you still, okay, but we still have Gonsolin or this bullpen going the rest of the game. And then the offense battled. And I feel like even with Rojas's inning double play that felt like it could have stolen some momentum, like taking the lead, going from down 5-2 to up 6-5 is a momentum swing. And I feel like that it worked for the Dodgers. They, I think the bullpen fed off that. Jack Dreyer came in. We won't talk bullpen. We're talking that next segment. The segment's about Tony Gonsolin, Jeff. Stay on topic. Gonsolin, though, the fact that he turned it from a where it start into an actual start that he can be happy with and build on for next appearance is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and getting through those, like he was at 91 pitches. If the Dodgers had wanted to trot him out there again for the 7th inning, he maybe could have stole a couple outs. But ultimately, once you give up 5 runs in the first 3 innings, for you to get through 6 is just good enough in itself. And yeah, Gonsolin's had some struggles the last couple games. 2 starts ago is when he had all the bleeding on his finger, and you think, okay, hopefully it was just that. Last outing, not so great again, but whatever it is, Gonsolin, for all we've known, when he's healthy, he's been good. And then this game, it was just flat early on. He was leaving a lot of stuff up, not a lot of movement. And then it was a hot day in LA, the hottest of the week, and you're thinking, man, it's going to be hard for him to keep the balls in the field right now. But then he settled down and he got to it, and whether it was tipping pitches, whether it was finding a different rhythm out of the stretch, or whatever it ended up working at Yankees, being a little too anxious and swinging out a lot of pitches, it worked out. He got Aaron Judge out 2 more times after that, and it ultimately ended up being huge for the Dodgers, not just for this game, but for the rest of the series and for the rest of the month, because we there's a big stretch coming up with not a lot of off days. The Dodgers already compromised in the bullpen and, in the starting pitching department as well. And you can't afford to kick that off with a start of less than 5 innings. And he got him 6.
Could get 6 on 91 pitches. So it's not even like he had to burn himself out to get through 6. He's in good shape for his next start. The Dodgers are in good shape for the rest of the weekend. And like you said, going forward, I got to pop this comment up on the screen. BC says, now I want a series win. The reason I'm popping this up, because I know for a fact that BC in the 3rd inning said the Dodgers were going to get swept in this series. And I told him that might be a record for most premature prediction of a sweep. But I'm glad BC's on board with the Dodgers winning this series now, because, this was such a huge swing, and Gonsolin is a big part of that. And we talked about this. I guess you talked about it after Landon Knack's start a couple starts ago, where he was really bad at the beginning, and then he was good afterwards. And it's like there might be something to build on there. And for Gonsolin, if he just decides, okay, I'm pitching from the stretch now, maybe he's a better pitcher from the stretch. And maybe that's something that he unlocked. It's something, obviously one game is way too little to tell anything for sure, but there's always these little things that eventually somebody writes an article. It was a game at the end of May, and Tony Gonsolin had given up 4 home runs in 3 innings, and it seemed like his season was coming to a crashing halt. And then he made this one discovery, and boom, the rest of the season turned around. It has to happen still, but we've had enough good storylines today. Might as well get another one, right?
Yeah, why not? Quick update here as we are running live. Dave Roberts said, confirmed the fractured toe, said that Mookie will be out the rest of the series, could come into bat at one point and won't need an IL stint. Obviously, these are things we've all heard before, and it didn't go that way. So we're going to hope that that's the case. And then one other thing said, Freddie Freeman said he sort of aggravated his ankle during the rundown tonight. Hopefully that just means, he got a little bit sore, and he'll just have to put extra tape tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully that means instead of playing at 80%, he'll be playing at 77% in the next couple of days, and work his way back up to the 80 that he's been this year while he's batting. What's he batting? 368. Yeah, I think 80% has been working for him, so maybe his average drops down to 362 if he's down to 77%. Probably still good enough to win the batting title. This was a game where there were so many, we talked about like the hype and everything, but even just if this was a regular game that wasn't Dodgers Yankees World Series rematch, MVP versus MVP, things like Tony Gonsolin getting through 6 innings, things like Andy Pages, that first RBI hit that he got, when it's the first batter that Jonathan Loaizaga faced, and Pages swings at a pitch in the dirt, first pitch, and then takes a strike, second pitch. It's like, that's backwards, bro. Swing at the strikes, don't swing at the balls. And it's like, what are you doing? And then he takes a couple tough sliders off the plate and battles, and then gets a base hit through the drawn-in infield, kind of doing what he needed to do was really, really big. And I think that gave him the confidence the next time up to say, he got a first pitch base hit. And, kind of all those little things. For Pages is still young, not a rookie technically, but still very young. And there are experiences he's going to have where he's going to learn from them. And I think that first 2 pitches against Loaizaga was a big learning experience for him. So all these little things like that, Tommy Edman contributed in this game, which he hasn't done in a while. We mentioned Conforto. He had a base hit. Just a single, right? Yeah. And they also ripped a line drive that could have been a double. Instead, Paul Goldschmidt caught it. But he hit the ball hard, got the go-ahead walk. So many different guys in this game contributed in ways that we haven't seen a lot of lately. It made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely one for it, and the bullpen was the next biggest part of it. We talked offense, we talked starting pitching. We're going to talk bullpen, and Dave Roberts pushing some right buttons. So we'll make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources on the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, that's 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you always talk to a real person. And if you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program, which offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Where else are you going to get that kind of service? Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage of it, and now it's your turn. So go into the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TN and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. And please use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's all at supplyhouse.com. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, an everydayer is just someone that listens or watches every day. We appreciate those of you that are everydayers. If this is your first time that you're watching, welcome. And you can become an everydayer just by listening or watching every day. We're usually not here on Friday nights, but we are here the rest of the week most of the time, or all the time the rest of the week, sometimes Friday, Saturday nights if, things really go the way we want it to go. And, you can always go beyond the podcast, become Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us, keeping you up to date with the team, and join our Discord server to talk Dodgers with other Dodger fans. All right, Jeff, we talked about Gonsolin in the 6 innings he gave. The Dodgers used 4 pitchers to get through the final 9 outs of the game. Jack Dreyer getting 2 of those, Casparius getting 3 of those, Tanner Scott getting 1 of those, and Alex Vesia getting 3 of those. Ultimately, it was not as stressful as it could have been, but it also wasn't as stressful as it could have not been. Ultimately, you used your top 4 arms, and they got the job done, and Dave Roberts did it in maybe a way that wasn't as conventional as before, but with the way you got to piece together things these days, it seemed pretty conventional after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And used the top 4 arms, but didn't overuse any of them. Casparius threw 20 pitches, Dreyer 12, Vesia 11, and Scott 2. And so, at least everybody except Casparius is available tomorrow, and probably Casparius too if they need him. But the big thing was most of the stress was because of what we know about this bullpen rather than what actually happened in the game. Yeah, Dreyer did give up the double to Aaron Judge, but, and it was a 1-run game at that point in time, I think. And so, yeah, that was stressful, but all in all, it's 1 base runner. And then in the 9th inning, in the 8th inning, Casparius puts a couple of runners on, and they bring in Tanner Scott with 1st and 3rd, 2 outs, and DJ LeMahieu up. And it was with how Tanner Scott's last 5 outings have gone, 3 of the last 5 have been really bad. And so it was stressful. I guess if you believe in every other game, luck, he has alternated. Now his last 6 appearances, he's gone bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. He got the 1 out. You remember his last appearance, he got the 1 out to end the 7th inning. And then they brought him back out for the 8th inning against the Guardians. And that's when he fell apart. This time they didn't do that. They went to Alex Vesia, and that's not something that makes you feel much better, the way Vesia has pitched this year. But the reasoning, I was looking at Vesia this year, and we talked about Tanner Scott earlier this year. One of the weird things is he has not been effective against lefties. And normally in his career, he's been death on lefties. This year, he hasn't been. Vesia has still been good against lefties this year. And so with Grisham and then Judge and then Bellinger coming up to start the 9th, it's like, okay, well, maybe it makes sense to go to Vesia. Then, of course, he gives up a leadoff single to Grisham. It's like, well, the reason you were in here was to get that guy out, because if you get Grisham and Bellinger, the worst that can happen with Judge and Goldschmidt is they pull him within 1 run, even if they both homer or whatever. But he didn't get Grisham, but then he did get Judge, and he did get Bellinger, and he did get Goldschmidt. Bellinger and Goldschmidt both hit the ball pretty hard off him, but he got the job done. But it was with what the Dodgers have in this bullpen right now, like Dave Roberts didn't have many options other than you're going to have to go to Tanner Scott here in a high leverage situation, because all that's left is high leverage situations. And you don't want to go to Luis Garcia there, because Luis Garcia is bad. Tanner Scott is good and slumping, and I'll take good and slumping over bad most of the time.
Yeah, it was. You have Luis Garcia, you have Anthony Banda, and you have Lou Trevino and Chris Stratton as like the 4 beyond the 4 that pitched in this game. And, the Yankees offense I don't see them as formidable or as scary, maybe, but they have been performing well. And obviously, they were able to score a lot of runs earlier in the game. So, like, there's still threats there. Even if Bellinger's not a good overall hitter, he's still a threat to homer at any point. Same thing with Paul Goldschmidt, Austin Wells, and, pretty much anyone in the lineup is a threat to come through. And it was interesting to see, how things got done, but they got done. And, even with Casparius, I was, already ahead of myself had he not given up those last two hits. If they were going to let him go for the ninth and just burn them for this game, but have everyone else ready for the rest of the weekend, they ultimately didn't have to make that decision because he did give up those two base runners. And Tanner Scott did come in and, a little bit of chess match there with them bringing in a lefty to face Casparius. So then Roberts goes to the lefty out of the pen, and then they bring in LeMahieu, a righty, to hit. But once they, Escara didn't really scare me, but, once they brought in LeMahieu, it's like, well, if he does get a hit, it's going to be because he hits, a blooper or something, and it's going to be annoying, but it won't necessarily be Tanner Scott's, Tanner Scott sucks. It's just stupid bloop single. But ultimately, we didn't have to worry about any of that.
He blooped it just hard enough to get to the outfield.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, and obviously in that situation, you'd love to see a strikeout, but with two outs, you don't need a strikeout. You just need an out. And so you get weak contact, you're probably going to get the out. And all in all, that's what I'm looking for from Tanner Scott going forward, is to get more of that strikeout stuff back down. But DJ LeMahieu, who's always been a tough guy to strikeout wasn't necessarily realistic or necessary there. And then I kind of loved the idea, especially when you like the platoon splits that we talked about, but even just letting Tanner Scott say, okay, I did my job. And, now I had a good outing. I have that to build on. And now next time, if he has a second one, what the coach say on Major League, that's two in a row, one more, and that's called a winning streak. Just get a streak of positive performances. That's how you get back on the horse when you're Tanner Scott. He's too good to stay down for long. And we talked the other day about how the Dodgers are in kind of a weird situation because they can't just give him a few days off and pitch him in low leverage situations for a while because most of their bullpen is full of bad pitchers. We did hear that Kirby Yates is optimistic that he'll be ready to come off the IL around the time he's eligible, which is 2 days from now. That's good. Michael Kopech is coming back soon. Edgardo Enriquez isn't too far behind that. There will be other options at some point. Right now, Tanner Scott's what they have, and they were able to use him in a way that got the job done and hopefully help build his confidence back up a little bit.
Yeah, and you get the win. And we talked about chasing wins the other day. Obviously, the way this game went, you were going to go for the win because it was a close game. Once they did take the lead, it was close. Once they did get past the starter, it was a one-run game. But yeah, you go for this one. You have Yamamoto on Sunday. If you can win this one, you have a good chance at winning Sunday. And, Saturday just kind of becomes a coin flip of which of these guys will pitch better between Will Warren and Landon Knack and which offense will perform better. And, we'll see what happens there. But to get this first one, to get this win, to do it in the way they did it, with I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans at Dodger Stadium, talking smack probably. And, I'm sure a lot of tensions flying and everything else. And it sounded like it was a great atmosphere and a great environment. And obviously, it was super hot in LA on Friday. So I'm sure, that didn't help with a lot of things. So yeah, it was just a fun night. And for the regular season, you have games that end up being great games and fun games because of what happens in them. This one had the hype going into it, and this one matched the hype in game one. And that's why we're here on Friday night talking about it.
Yep, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. A couple of little things. First of all, if you are an everydayer, you probably noticed that I was stupid at the end of yesterday's episode. I was thinking that it was Landon Knack today. So I said Knack against Freed. Obviously, it was Gonsolin. It's Knack tomorrow, Saturday. I don't know that the analysis was much different because, Max Fried against either Landon Knack or Tony Gonsolin is a game that the Yankees should have won, and they didn't. And that's huge for the Dodgers, for the series, and for whatever. To the extent that any game on May 30th can matter a lot, the Dodgers winning this one is big. Also, one other update, I've been informed that Tanner Scott did talk to the media after his blown save in Cleveland. And so David Vassay, in addition to saying something I disagree with, if he hadn't been wrong on the facts, was also wrong on the facts. So that's interesting. Congratulations on that, I guess. And one last thing for me, Vince, if you guys like Immaculate Grid, which is the game where there's a grid of baseball categories and you pick players that fit those categories and try to get all 9 of them. It's a really fun game, immaculategrid.com. But there is a podcast called Ordinary Effort that is doing a 12-hour podcast marathon tomorrow, Saturday, from noon to midnight Eastern, to raise money for ALS research in conjunction with the upcoming Lou Gehrig Day on Monday, which is also my birthday. But I will be the guest at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is 7 p.m. Pacific on Saturday evening, so tomorrow. So if you want to check that out, if you just search for Ordinary Effort on YouTube, you can find that and watch me spend an hour doing the Immaculate Grid. It'll be I don't know which grid it'll be because they don't tell me in advance, so I can't cheat because you know me, I'm a cheater. But it will involve the Dodgers. That's one thing. They ask who my favorite team is. So it'll have the Dodgers. So we'll talk about some Dodgers from the 80s probably. So if you want to check that out and donate to ALS research, that's cool too. So.
Yeah, I think Jeff's probably the only person that I personally know that could beat me in Immaculate Grid every day, because there was no competition among my friends and everybody else. But
yeah, I would just, you guys you've never heard of, because it's like, I love Ed Amelung, You ever heard of that guy?
Nope.
Yeah, played like 8 games with the Dodgers.
So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us on a night when we're not usually here. We appreciate you. This is your first time listening, watching. Thank you for joining us, and you can come back. We'll be back on Sunday night to talk about the rest of the series. I have something tomorrow night, so even if there's a crazy game, I won't be here. Maybe Jeff would want to.
I have to. I'm driving down to California first thing Sunday morning, and so I'm not staying up late tomorrow night to do a podcast after the game.
Yeah, so we'll see you Sunday night. Remember, you can find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. You can come in every day or by listening and watching every day. You can go be on the podcast by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and become a Locked On Dodgers insider, getting texts from us, keeping you up to date with the Dodgers, and joining our exclusive Discord server. You can check out Locked On MLB Game Night, which is part of the Locked On MLB YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts, local analysis on a national scale every night. So go check that out. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at SnyDog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, trust my device for podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you Sunday night.